Today, we're going to explore one of the most extraordinary and controversial political journeys in American history. The life of Donald John Trump, from his birth in Queens, New York in 1946, through his rise as a real estate mogul and reality TV star, to his unprecedented path to the presidency, and finally to his recent actions as of the 11th of January 2026, during his second term in office. This is a story of ambition, controversy, triumph, and downfall. A quintessentially American tale that continues to shape our world today. Before we go back in time together, if you're enjoying settling in for the night with a bit of history, consider hitting subscribe. And I'm curious, where in the world are you listening from right now? And what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Donald John Trump was born on the 14th of June, 1946, at Jamaica Hospital in the New York City borough of Queens, the fourth of 5 children born to Fred Trump, a wealthy real estate developer, and Mary Ann MacLeod Trump, a Scottish immigrant. His childhood home was a 23-room house in the affluent Jamaica Estates neighborhood, where privilege and ambition were woven into the fabric of everyday life. From the beginning, young Donald was different from his siblings. He was rebellious, energetic, and even aggressive. His parents noticed early that he had an outsized personality that demanded attention. Fred Trump, his father, was a stern disciplinarian who had built his fortune developing affordable housing in Brooklyn and Queens during the post-World War II housing boom. He instilled in his children a ruthless approach to business and a belief that the world was divided into killers and losers. By the age of 13, Donald's behavior had become too much for his parents to handle. He was sent to the New York Military Academy, a private boarding school where discipline was enforced with an iron fist. It was here that young Trump learned the value of projecting strength, the importance of appearance, and the power of winning. He excelled in the structured environment, becoming a star athlete and student leader. The military academy shaped him in fundamental ways, teaching him that image and dominance were everything. After graduating in 1964, Trump attended Fordham University for 2 years before transferring to the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most prestigious business schools in America. He graduated in 1968 with a degree in economics, ready to enter his father's real estate business, The Rise, building an empire. Trump began his career at his father's company, Trump Management, which focused on middle-class rental housing in the outer boroughs of New York. But Donald had bigger dreams. He wasn't content with his father's modest but profitable business model. He wanted to build skyscrapers in Manhattan, to see his name in lights, to become a symbol of success and wealth. In 1971, at just 25 years old, Trump took control of the company and renamed it the Trump Organization. His first major project was transforming the old Commodore Hotel near Grand Central Terminal into the Grand Hyatt, completed in 1980. This project showcased Trump's talent for negotiation, his ability to secure favorable tax breaks from the city, and his flair for self-promotion. But it was Trump Tower, completed in 1983 on Fifth Avenue, that truly announced his arrival. The 58-story glass and bronze skyscraper became his signature property, featuring a 6-story atrium with a waterfall, luxury apartments, and retail space. Trump moved his family into a 3-story penthouse apartment decorated in gold and marble, a palace in the sky that would become iconic. Throughout the 1,980 seconds, Trump's name became synonymous with luxury and excess. He acquired hotels, casinos, and even an airline. He bought the New Jersey Generals, a team in the upstart United States Football League. He wrote The Art of the Deal, a best-selling book published in 1987 that portrayed him as a master negotiator and self-made billionaire. Though much of his wealth came from his father's empire and connections, Trump was everywhere on magazine covers, in gossip columns, at celebrity parties. He cultivated relationships with politicians, athletes, and entertainers. His life was a spectacle of wealth. The private jets, the yacht, the beautiful wives. He married Ivana Zelnichkova in 1977, with whom he had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. The lavish parties at Mar-a-Lago, his Palm Beach estate. Living as Trump meant existing in a perpetual spotlight. Every business deal was announced with fanfare. Every building bore his name in giant golden letters. He understood instinctively what others took years to learn, that in America, fame could be as valuable as money, and that controversy generated attention as effectively as success. The Downfall, Part 1. Financial ruin, but behind the glittering facade, cracks were forming. Trump had built his empire on a foundation of debt, borrowing billions to finance his expansion. When the real estate market cooled in the late 1980s, Trump's finances began to crumble. His Atlantic City casinos were hemorrhaging money. The Trump Taj Mahal, which opened in 1990 and was touted as the 8th wonder of the world, was financed largely through junk bonds with crushing interest rates. Between 1990 and 1991, his Castle Casino posted $93.2 million in losses. His airline, Trump Shuttle, was failing. His Plaza Hotel in Manhattan was drowning in debt. By 1991, Trump was personally liable for $975 million in debt and facing potential bankruptcy. His casinos filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection multiple times: the Taj Mahal in 1991, the Trump Plaza and Trump Castle in 1992. Over the next 2 decades, Trump's businesses would file for bankruptcy 6 times, though Trump himself never filed for personal bankruptcy. The early 1992s were Trump's wilderness years. Banks forced him to accept a monthly allowance and took control of many of his properties. His marriage to Ivana collapsed in a very public divorce in 1992, splashed across tabloid headlines. He lost hundreds of millions of dollars and was, by some estimates, nearly $1 billion in debt. But Trump had an extraordinary talent for survival. He negotiated with creditors, restructured his debts, and maintained control of his most valuable asset, his name. He pivoted his business model, licensing the Trump name to buildings and products he didn't actually own or develop. It was genius in its simplicity. He would be paid millions just to put his name on someone else's property. The comeback, from television to politics. Trump's rehabilitation was completed by television. In 2004, he became the star of The Apprentice, a reality TV show on NBC where contestants competed for a job in Trump's organization. The show's catchphrase, "You're fired," became part of the American lexicon. At its peak, The Apprentice attracted more than 20 million viewers, and Trump was reportedly paid $3 million per episode, making him one of the highest-paid television personalities in the world. The show transformed Trump's image. To millions of Americans who watched each week, he was no longer a failed casino owner or a tabloid punchline. He was a successful businessman, a decisive leader, a winner. The Trump who appeared on television was carefully crafted, commanding, wealthy, surrounded by luxury, always in control. It didn't matter that much of it was theatrical. What mattered was the perception. Trump had flirted with politics before, considering presidential runs in 2000 and 2012. But in 2015, at age 69, he made it real. On the 16th of June 2015, he descended the golden escalator at Trump Tower and announced his candidacy for President of the United States as a Republican. His campaign was unlike anything American politics had ever seen. He attacked his opponents with nicknames, dominated news coverage with controversial statements, and connected with voters who felt ignored by traditional politicians. He promised to make America great again, to build a wall on the southern border, to bring back manufacturing jobs, to drain the swamp in Washington. Political experts predicted his campaign would collapse. He defeated 16 Republican primary opponents, then faced Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton in the general election. Despite losing the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes, Trump won the Electoral College 304 to 227 on the 8th of November 2016, becoming the 45th President of the United States. He was the first person without prior military or government experience to hold the office. The Presidency, Controversy, and Confrontation. Trump's presidency, from the 20th of January 2017 to the 20th of January 2021, was marked by constant controversy, dramatic policy shifts, and unprecedented attacks on democratic norms. His first term was characterized by an America First foreign policy, aggressive immigration enforcement, including the family separation policy at the border, and a confrontational approach to traditional allies and institutions. He appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, shifting the court's ideological balance for a generation. He passed significant tax cuts in 2017, renegotiated trade deals including replacing NAFTA with the USMCA, and presided over a strong economy before the COVID-19 pandemic struck in 2020. But his presidency was also defined by scandals and investigations. He was impeached twice, first in 2019 for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress related to his dealings with Ukraine, and again in 2021 for incitement of insurrection following the January 6 Capitol attack. He was acquitted by the Senate both times. Trump's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which killed over 1 million Americans, was widely criticized as chaotic and ineffective. His repeated downplaying of the virus, promotion of unproven treatments, and resistance to public health measures contributed to the United States having one of the highest death rates among developed nations. The Downfall, Part 2. Refusing to lose. In the 2020 election, Trump faced former Vice President Joe Biden. The election, held during the pandemic with historic levels of mail-in voting, resulted in a clear victory for Biden, 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232, and a popular vote margin of over 7 million votes. But Trump refused to concede. He claimed, without evidence, that the election had been stolen through widespread fraud. His campaign and allies filed 62 lawsuits challenging the results in multiple states. 61 of them failed or were dismissed. Election officials, many of them Republicans, certified the results as accurate and secure. On the 6th of January 2021, as Congress met to certify Biden's victory, Trump held a rally near the White House where he urged supporters to fight like hell. A mob of his supporters then stormed the U.S. Capitol, disrupting the certification process, leading to 5 deaths and resulting in over 140 police officers being injured. It was the first time the Capitol had been breached since the War of 1812. Trump left office on the 20th of January 2021, becoming the first president since Andrew Johnson in 1869 to refuse to attend his successor's inauguration. His term ended with his approval rating at 34%, one of the lowest for any departing president. The legal battles and unlikely return. The years following his presidency were marked by mounting legal troubles. In 2023 and 2024, Trump faced an unprecedented 88 criminal charges across 4 criminal cases. He was indicted for his handling of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia, for his role in the January 6 Capitol attack, and for falsifying business records related to hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. In May 2024, a New York jury convicted Trump on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, making him the first former US president ever convicted of crimes. He faced potential prison time, additional trials, and the possibility of more convictions. Yet remarkably, Trump used his legal troubles to fuel his political comeback. He declared his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election and portrayed himself as a victim of political persecution. His base rallied around him, and he easily secured the Republican nomination for the third consecutive time. In a stunning political resurrection, Trump defeated Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, winning 312 Electoral College votes to her 226. He won all 7 swing states and captured the popular vote with 49.8%, compared to Harris's 48.3%. On the 20th of January 2025, at age 78, Trump was inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States, becoming only the second president in American history to serve non-consecutive terms after Grover Cleveland, January 11, 2026. The latest chapter, as of the 11th of January 2026, President Trump's second term has been marked by aggressive and controversial policies that have sparked intense domestic and international debate. Today, multiple crises are unfolding simultaneously under his administration. In Minneapolis, the Trump administration is sending hundreds more federal immigration and customs enforcement agents following the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good, a 7-year-old mother of 3, by an ICE agent on January 8, despite video evidence from the New York Times showing that Good appeared to be turning her vehicle away from officers when she was shot. Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem have all defended the shooting as justified self-defense. Trump wrote on social media that Good violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. The administration has blocked Minnesota state investigators from participating in the inquiry, insisting that only the FBI, now led by Trump loyalist Kash Patel, would investigate. On the international front, Trump is weighing military strikes against Iran, where protests driven by economic grievances have resulted in over 500 deaths as the regime cracks down on demonstrators. Trump has been briefed on options for strikes on both military and non-military targets in Tehran. If they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved, Trump told reporters. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. This comes just days after Trump ordered the audacious capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro on January 3 in a military operation that shocked the world. Today, Trump announced that Venezuela now has the United States of America, the most powerful military in the world, by far, to protect them, and warned Cuba that no more oil or money would flow from Venezuela, threatening military enforcement of the policy. Trump also suggested that Secretary of State Marco Rubio should be Cuba's president, writing, "Sounds good to me," in response to a supporter's post. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel responded defiantly, "Cuba is a free, independent and sovereign nation. No one tells us what to do." The administration has also paused a program that allowed migrants from several Central and South American countries to reunite with family members in the United States, affecting over 10,000 people, more than a quarter of whom are children. Additionally, Trump has reinstated restrictions preventing lawmakers from making unannounced visits to immigration detention facilities, citing escalating riots and political violence. Critics, including Democratic lawmakers and former Justice Department officials, have accused the administration of abandoning democratic norms, conducting lawless operations, and orchestrating cover-ups. Representative Hakeem Jeffries called the Minneapolis shooting a heinous killing and denounced Secretary Noem as a stone-cold liar. Senator Tina Smith accused the administration of blocking state investigators to orchestrate a cover-up. The pattern: ambition without limits. Looking at Trump's life from 1946 to this moment in 2026, certain patterns emerge. He has always been willing to take enormous risks, to bet everything on his ability to bend reality to his will through force of personality and relentless self-promotion. He has repeatedly faced financial and political ruin, only to reinvent himself and emerge somehow stronger, at least in the eyes of his supporters. His talent for reading public sentiment, for understanding what his base wants to hear, has been extraordinary. He has an intuitive grasp of media dynamics. He knows that controversy generates coverage, that being talked about is more valuable than being liked, and that in the modern age, attention is the ultimate currency. But Trump's greatest strengths have also been his greatest weaknesses. His refusal to accept limits, financial, legal, or constitutional, has repeatedly brought him to the brink of ruin. His inability to admit defeat or error has alienated allies and complicated crises that might have been resolved with humility and compromise. His transactional view of relationships has left him with few truly loyal supporters beyond his immediate family. As his second term unfolds, Trump at 79 years old remains the same person he was at 25, ambitious, combative, obsessed with winning, and convinced of his own infallibility. Whether this will lead to his ultimate triumph or his final downfall remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: Donald Trump's story is far from over, and the consequences of his journey will shape American politics and society for generations to come. History will judge whether Trump was a visionary disruptor who challenged a corrupt establishment or a demagogue who undermined democratic institutions for personal gain. Perhaps he was both. What cannot be disputed is that his life represents a uniquely American story of wealth and bankruptcy, celebrity and scandal, power and its abuse, of a man who refused to accept any limitation on his ambitions, for better or worse. And so the story continues, day by day, crisis by crisis, with the world watching to see what happens next.